a couple of television shows, do a lot of different things, and I've had so much fun meeting an awful lot of folks here. There have been so many wonderful concepts and ideas here, and I am a radio talk show host, and I've been listening to all of these ideas and writing them down, and just you can all consider all of your ideas stolen. I will be using them. Simple as that. Do you want me to introduce now? Okay, let's do that. We'll go ahead. We're still waiting for one, but let me introduce our head table. And let me see. We're going to start over on this end. And a lot of these people, you already know who they are, but it's worth acknowledging them again. On the end, Mr. Alan Gura, who needs absolutely no introduction. And to Alan's left is the couple, Mr. Otis McDonald and his wife, Laura. And next to them is Congressman Joe Walsh and his wife, Helene. And to my immediate right, the founder, creator of the Second Amendment Foundation, the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, Gun Rights Policy Conference, and about 27,000 other things he does, Alan Gottlieb. On the far left, on my far left over here, we have Don Moran, who is the president of ISRA. Finding my list here. Next to him is Mr. Michael Moore. No, not that one. Mr. Moore is the plaintiff in the Illinois Carey case. Excuse me, going down my list here. Of course, Joe Tartareau is president of the Second Amendment Foundation. And Miss Rhonda Ezell from the Ezell case, the Chicago case. I've been just amazed at how smart so many of the folks here are, the speakers. They're bright and they're quick. And they have to be. I mean, when you're an Alan Gura and you're working, doing the kind of things he does, and when you are a Mark Barnes and you're doing lobbying, you got to be sharp. You got to be quick. When you're a U.S. congressman, you got to be quick. We had a guy like that down home, a young man. He was working at the grocery store, and one of the customers came in. This man goes up to this young man and says, "I'd like to buy a half a head of lettuce." The young man says, "Well, we don't do that." He said, "Well, I want to buy a half a head of lettuce." He says, "Oh, okay, well." He goes to the back to the manager, goes to the back, he says, "Sir, there's a jerk out here that wants to buy a half a head of lettuce." And just as he says, he turns around, the customer's standing there. He says, "And this fine gentleman has offered to buy the other half." Quick thinking. A little later in the day, the manager calls the young man in and says, "Son, I was really impressed with your quick thinking." He says, "Where are you from?" He said, "Well, I'm from Texas." He said, "Well, really?" He said, "Well, why'd you leave Texas?" The young man says, "Well, there's nothing in Texas but prostitutes and football players." The manager looks at him and says, "My wife is from Texas." The young man says, "Get out of here. Who'd she play for?" I tell you, I honestly sometimes wonder how the congressman can do the work he does. There just are some examples out there. We had the United States Congressman Hank Johnson, who thinks that putting too many people on the island of Guam is going to make it tip over and sink. If you haven't seen that one, that was something for you. There are a lot of examples. I don't know if probably a lot of you watch the news and kind of keep up on it, but there was a little story when President Obama was in Chicago recently that did not make the news. he kind of broke away from his security guys and he went into a local bank and he asked them if they would cash a check for him. The teller says, well, do you have some ID? He said, well, actually, I didn't think I was going to need any. I'm the President of the United States. And she said, yes, sir, I understand that. But, you know, with all the new regulations about terrorism and everything, we have to see an ID. He said, well, I don't have an ID. She said, well, you know what we could do? Recently, we had Tiger Woods was in here, and he didn't have his ID, and he pulled out a club and made a putt across the bank floor, and it was fabulous, and we knew it was Tiger Woods. And then Andre Agassi was in here, and same deal. He didn't have his ID, but he pulled out a racket and made an incredible shot, and we knew it was Andre Agassi. Sir, if you could just do, you know, something, one thing that would show us that, you know, it's you and only you that the President of the United States. And President Obama says, well, I really can't think of anything. I actually don't know anything I'm qualified to do. To which the teller says, will that be large or small bills, Mr. President? All right, everybody take a minute, finish your meal. We'll be right back with you in just a couple of minutes.
We don't have the one general.
Tom, your microphone's up.
And settle in. Thank you again for being at the Gun Rights Policy Conference. I have for years and years told people, I said, you just have to go. It's hard to explain. I said, you will be, I mean, guy just walks up, he says, I'm sitting next to Chris Bird. I've read his books. I met Masada Youb out here. You walk up and you talk with Alan Gura. It is unbelievable. And then you come away with ideas, you're charged up, you're ready to say, okay, I'm going to get involved, or I know how to be more effective in my involvement. I mean, for me, that's what Gun Rights Policy Conference is about. It's getting energized, getting your tires pumped up, your batteries charged, whatever. You come away from this thinking, yeah, let's go. And that's a good thing, because sometimes a lot of the work we do is somewhat solitary. And you're thinking, man, am I making any progress? Well, you are. And this whole networking deal, other people are feeling solitary, and now you're all connected. So grab everybody's card, get as many phone numbers, email addresses as you can, because this is your support group. This, you know, we are helping each other here. So glad you're all here. All right. Congressman Joe Walsh is from the 8th Congressional District here in Illinois. First-time congressman. A freshman, he says. Exactly. Served since January of this year. He defeated a 3-term incumbent Democrat. And of course, this being Illinois, the legislature redrew the districts to get rid of his district. That's okay. I don't think you've seen the last of this guy. I don't think so. So, he's a favorite of the Tea Party, which means for an awful lot of us, he believes in individual rights and responsibilities, small government, etc. You're going to hear a lot more about that. He's on the Committee for Homeland Security, Committee on Oversight of Government Reform, and the Committee on Small Business. And if you need any more evidence that Congressman Joe Walsh is a fighter, he is also a member of the Congressional Hockey Caucus. All right, Congressman Joe Walsh.
And I don't skate at all. I love the sport. Tom, thank you. Alan, thank you. How much time do I have? Hour and a half? What do I have?
2-3 hours, yeah, whatever.
This will be brief. The politician will take the least amount of time. Let me take a few minutes and give you a little bit of context as to what the heck is going on in Washington and why I think it impacts this issue, gun rights, more than darn near most any issue. I'm going to take off my coat. Life's short. We got to get this country back. I can't wear a sport coat. Context. And let me jump right into it. I said often during the campaign, and people in the media just waited for me to stop talking like this the minute I got elected. And I didn't stop. So I said during the campaign, and I say now, this country we love is going through a revolution. Nothing short of a revolution. What a glorious time to be alive in this country. This may not make sense, but I'm going to say it. Or this may not please us, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to duck. I'm going to duck in case people throw books at me. Thank God President Obama got elected. Now, this is probably on tape. This will be a campaign commercial against me next year, but I don't care. I'm going to say it again. Thank God President Obama got elected because he woke up this country. Now, I got into a little squabble a month or so ago because John McCain called Tea Party congressmen like me hobbits. Hobbits, because we just didn't understand how Washington worked. And I said, Mr. McCain, if I'm a hobbit, you're a troll. You, sir, have been in Washington way too long. My fear was, if John McCain had gotten elected, we'd be crawling and walking in the same direction we're going right now. Nothing subtle about President Obama. He took the football and he's run. And the American people woke up. They got up off their couch. They stopped watching the football game and they said, my God, this is not the country my parents lived in. This is not the country I want my kids to live in. I believe in freedom. And I see my freedoms disappearing each and every single day. Now, I'm a child of this movement called the Tea Party movement. A lot of us freshmen are. With pride! The beautiful thing about the Tea Party movement is, outside of probably people in this room, nobody gets it. The media doesn't get it at all. Every single time I'm on TV, they look at me and talk to me like I'm some exotic zoo animal. The media thinks these crazy, wild-eyed Tea Party folks are some radical fringe part of the Republican Party that comes out of their cave every election and then they go back into their cave. Thank God the media doesn't understand us. Here's what else is true, folks. I'm a Republican. I'll probably go to my grave as a Republican. The Republican Party, my Republican Party, doesn't truly understand what this Tea Party movement is. The Democratic Party doesn't well, we know that. The Democratic Party doesn't understand what the movement is. The reason we're going through a revolution is because this movement of people wants their country back. So, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand because here's my definition of the Tea Party movement. And I believe more and more and more folks who belong to this movement are going to be sent to Congress. If you are frustrated, concerned, scared, ticked off, and really angry about how big government's getting, how much debt we're placing on the backs of our kids and our grandkids, and how many freedoms we're losing each and every single day, if you fit in there, raise your hand. All right, put those down. What a setup. What a setup question. Here's what I believe. That is the Tea Party movement. And it's bigger than the Republican Party. It's bigger than the Democratic Party. Now, people in this movement may not, we may not belong to a Tea Party group, a local group. We may not be up and screaming in front of the TV cameras every single day. But if you're concerned, scared, or angry about the direction your country's going and the debt, again, the debt we're placed on the backs of our kids and our grandkids, you belong to the movement. And this movement of people sent people like me to Congress. And this movement, here's the secret, this movement has put their faith in the Republican Party one last time to get it right. Now, I don't vote with John Boehner a lot. John Boehner's a great guy, my speaker. I love him. He's a wonderful guy. And when I don't vote with him, he hits me over the head and says, Walsh, there you go again. What are you doing, Walsh? What are you doing? And I constantly try to remind him that I think the bolder Republicans are, the better off we'll be. If we were sent there respectfully to stop this president and shake up the Republican Party. If we don't do that, there could be a third party. There could be a fourth party. There could be a fifth party. Who knows what's going to happen? And I don't know that many of us want that. But the Republicans really need to step up. So, we're in a revolution. There is no clearer, more concise dividing line in this revolution than the Second Amendment. This revolution is purely about freedom. Barack Obama wants to take more of it away from you. The Democrats want to take more of it away from you. Too many Republicans tend to want to slowly take a little bit away from you. We can't let that happen. We have a great opportunity during this revolution to use the Second Amendment to help us win this revolution. I taught American government and I taught American history. And when I'm done in a year or 100 years, when I'm done with politics, I'm going to go back and teach. And I used to love to shake up my kids, and I'd say to them, give me the most important amendment in the Bill of Rights. Give it to me. Give it to me. What do you think they always told me? First Amendment, by far. First Amendment, First Amendment, First Amendment. And I'd say you're not even close. The Second Amendment is the most important amendment our founders put in the Bill of Rights. Because as you all know a heck of a lot better than I do, it's the last stand protecting us from our government, and it defends every single other amendment. It pains me that the media and too many politicians go after guns so much. They go after guns so much, and being in Washington now for 8 or 9 months, I can see it. There's just not the will to deal with the other issues. So the easy target is guns. Why is there so much crime? Guns. What's wrong with illegal immigration? Guns. How are we going to improve our education system? We got to get rid of guns. I mean, the liberal media and too many of our politicians blame guns for everything. And we know they're wrong. We tend to do a lousy side, not you all. We tend to do a lousy job defending why they're wrong. There are things your politicians can do to go after crime. Your politicians don't have the courage to address illegal immigration. I wish it wasn't so, but they don't. And when it comes to our education system, most of your politicians don't have the courage to do what really needs to be done. And so these problems continue to fester, and we take it out on guns. I'm wrapping up. Let me close with a couple quick thoughts. What needs to be done? What can be done in Washington? The legal battle is key. We have to keep winning the legal battle. Post-Heller, post-McDonald, we need to keep winning. We need to keep putting as many legal cases in the hopper as we can and keep winning the legal battle because we know we're right legally. Here's an easy one. You know what? If I were king of the world tomorrow, I'd defund the United Nations the day after tomorrow. We were talking before, but when it comes to the UN and guns, when it comes to a number of different arenas and guns, if this president is given a second term and there's nothing holding him back, folks, they are right now at work on so many mundane, below-the-radar issues when it comes to the UN and in other areas to impact your gun rights we don't even know about, most people don't know about. And the minute he's reelected, they're going to go after some of these things. I've said for a while that I don't believe this president is pro-Israel. Israel is under attack. Israel needs America to defend Israel. And the UN is an anti-Israeli body. There have to be consequences, and the United States needs to be prepared immediately to pull its funding from the UN. We need to educate people constantly at every single level. We need to raise the profile. I certainly went to Washington with this idea. We need to raise the profile of this issue. Again, we talked about illegal immigration. The truth about illegal immigration is Democrats don't, because every time we talk about getting tough about illegal immigration, the media hits us over the head. It's the same thing with guns. If you privately polled every member of Congress, they're with you. This is just one of those issues that too many politicians are afraid to talk about. We have to stop that. There are people like me in Washington who are not concerned about our next election, no matter what district I'm running in. We're there to do right. We're there to just try to do our part to save this country. If the voters send us back home, so be it. It's got to be the same thing with this issue. It has to be the same thing with this issue. We have to save Illinois. We have to save. No, you're shaking your head. It is such an embarrassment to be in Washington and have my colleagues laugh at the state of Illinois. And when it comes to guns, the fact that we're the last game standing on concealed carry is an embarrassment. It is an absolute embarrassment. We were close last year. We are going to pass it next term. We have got to get it passed. Final couple of points. I would advise you all, if you believe in this issue, you need to work for and elect people who are not afraid to talk about this issue. People who say things like I say, everybody in this room should be packing right now. I want to live in a country where everybody in this room can be packing. Now that's going to be on tape and that'll be a campaign commercial. We're fighting for the soul of this country. We are fighting for the soul of America. And you're on our side if you're not afraid to talk about this issue. Because again, I'll say in any forum I'm in Washington, D.C. or here, this is the most important amendment in the Bill of Rights. We need to elect Tea Party conservatives. We need to continue to pull our Republican Party, may not be all of your, the Republican Party may not be your party. They're the only game in town right now. We need to pull this party to the right. And the way you're going to do that, the way we're going to do that is to elect people who are part of this Tea Party movement. It was a pain in the butt to run for Congress. Oh my God, was it a pain. It is not a lot of fun being in Washington. I sleep in my office on a very uncomfortable Aero mattress. I'm a term limit guy. I don't want to be there for life. I turned down my congressional health benefits and my congressional retirement benefits because they ought to be treated just like we're all treated. I'm doing this because we've got about a 2 to 3 year window to fix things, or our kids and our grandkids will never forgive us. You want to talk about the gun issue becoming a big issue? If we don't turn this country around in 2 to 3 years, there really will be people taking their lives into their own hands and defending themselves in the streets. We're heading there, folks. We're heading there. It's that important of a debate. So keep pushing hard for this issue. Elect people. It should be a litmus test for all of you. If you're afraid to talk about the Second Amendment, I don't want to talk to you. Elect people who are not afraid to talk about this issue. Lots being done at the state level. I just talked to Alan, and I got a great idea for a federal piece of legislation. We need to raise the profile of gun rights at the national level and not be afraid to talk about it. God bless you. Keep pushing our side in this revolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. And as we all know, this is an awards luncheon. And so the first award, the Bill of Rights Award from the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms for 2011, in recognition and appreciation for clear and powerful public defense of patriotic and important industry and individual Americans who have served the United States of America throughout its history, and for the holding of public recognition of the moral and constitutional right of all law-abiding American citizens to keep and bear arms for self-defense, national defense, and recreation. We are pleased to present this award to Congressman Joe Walsh.
Don't interrupt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you might stay with it.
Okay, I guess I get to stay with it. Let me figure out how to lower this thing. Okay, I'm challenged. The next award I'd like to give out was one was very difficult to pick a winner this year. That's a good thing, because that means the competition for it was keen, and it means that grassroots groups in the United States are growing and getting more active. And this is the Grassroots Organization of the Year Award. And I'd like to present it to the Buckeye Firearms Association. Why don't you say a few words to the audience while I try and find the correct award?
It really is an honor because, as Alan pointed out, there are a lot of great groups that are fighting for our rights, and it's always nice to be honored, but it's really special to be honored by somebody you respect this much. Thank you.
I just want to say that I was lucky enough to be around, I think, at the inception when you guys first started, a number of years ago now. And I've watched this organization grow, and usually we find grassroots groups, it's one or two key people that make it work, and when they, sort of retire, the organization withers on the vine. The Buckeye Farmers Association has built in a great level of activists so that the continuation of this group will go on forever, and my guess is they'll be competing for this award year in and year out. Thank you. Before I give out the next award, I'm going to introduce a late coming member to the head table, Mark Westrom, who's president of Armalite. Mark, welcome. This next award was also one that was extremely difficult to be able to pick a winner for this year. And again, like with the Grassroots Organization of the Year Award, that's a good sign also. This one is for the Grassroots Activist of the Year. And it was a really close competition, and I think the deciding factor this year was the fact that usually the Grassroots Activist of the Year impacts something very heavily in their own state. And this particular grassroots activist has really impacted things for all of us nationally. Because aside from being a key activist in the person's home state, some of the activities they've done has made the Second Amendment Foundation's work possible on a national level. We would not have been able to have plaintiffs in our lawsuits in the McDonald case, the Ezell case, or the Moore case if it weren't for this particular individual. So I'd like to give the Grassroots Activist of the Year award to Valinda Rowe with the Illinois Carry. Oh dear.
Oh dear. One thing I'd like to say is thank you. And we all know that something like this isn't achieved just by one person. It takes so many of us, and we've such a great team. But one thing I want to say to Alan is a huge thank you, because a number of years ago, friends of ours, David and Colleen Lawson, and my husband and I, went to something we heard was really good for gun rights activists, and that's the Gun Rights Policy Conference. And being in the barren land of Illinois, we were just looking for a grain of hope, something to hang on to. And we found that in this group and in Alan and everything that he does. And we just thank you.
No, it's all of you that make it possible. The next award I'm giving out goes to Scholar of the Year. And again, a lot of the work in the gun rights movement has come about being successful because of scholarship, research, and writing that a number of people have done to give us the intellectual ammunition to be able to win this important battle. And this year's award goes to David Hardy, who may and may not be in the room right now. David? Okay. Yeah, David will be back later, and he had an engagement, I knew sometime during the course of the day, for something else he had to do, and I was hoping it wasn't going to be at lunchtime. So we will try to represent him this award and keep it a secret, and we'll give it to him tonight at the reception. If I could, I'd like to call up the Second Amendment Foundation's resident journalist, Dave Workman, for a minute, to present the next award out, because it's near and close to his heart.
Thank you, Alan. They were going to get Chris Matthews, but he had a tingling up his leg. He couldn't make it here, so. I have one of these, so this really is near and dear to my heart. And I'd like to preface this just with a couple of remarks. Every once in a while in a career of a journalist, they get into a story that grabs them by the gut. And it becomes a part of them. Perhaps it becomes the signature thing of their career. And right now, we have been reading about, because I've been writing about it, and this gentleman's been writing, in fact, a couple of gentlemen have been writing about it, Operation Fast and Furious, which I had nothing to do with. And the story is become bigger than all of us, but for reasons that I think will become apparent perhaps later in the afternoon, this story is going to be part of our fabric for a long time. And it affects all of us. Because what is happening here happened in our name, and it was done by the government. And it took somebody with a lot of guts and a lot of know-how and go-get-em attitude to dig this story out. He's a colleague of mine, a friend of mine, and I would like to present this. It gives me great honor to present this award to David Codrea, National Gun Rights Examiner.
Wow. You know, I got on Workman when I found out that I was on the agenda to speak. I said, you know, nice of you to tell me. This is really something, and it's not for me. Partly, it's also for Mike Vanderboe. And it is for some people who, unfortunately, at this time, I can't name, but let's hope we learn their names soon. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Next award we give out is one that's given out annually for the Citizens Committee with the Right to Keep and Bear Arms for Affiliate of the Year Award. And a lot of people, I think, when we give this award out, it's being done because the Illinois State Rifle Association lives here. But the truth of the matter is, I think they've gotten this award now, I can't remember how many years in a row. And they deserve it. They're one of the major state associations in the country, one of our best affiliates. They've obviously partnered with us in a number of key important lawsuits that impacted the nation. They obviously have their work cut out for them in your state capital, and they're obviously doing a really great job, and there's no other state association in the country that can match them. So Don, can I have you come up and give the award to you on behalf of the Illinois State Rifle Association?
This is for all the Illinois State Rifle Association members in the audience. Thank you very much to the Second Amendment Foundation. It's our pleasure and honor to be their partner.
It's actually getting kind of embarrassing giving that award out, because the same winner gets it like almost every year. I don't know what we can do to spur competition to get more of our affiliates to be as good as the Illinois State Rifle Association, because it's just it's almost getting embarrassing. We might choose to just not give it to you anymore because you did that or cancel the award. The next one we give out is to the Gun Rights Defender of the Year. And this is to a person that obviously has done more to defend gun rights in the country than anybody else. And I probably at this point don't even have to tell you who's going to get it, because you probably in your own mind are having a name clicking in your head. But I get to give this one to the rock star of the gun rights movement, Alan Gora.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's always great to be back here in Chicago, the scene of the crime in so many of our cases. This city is blessed with wonderful people. They deserve to live in freedom, and you've got so much going on here. You've got great architecture, great food, a lot of great cultural institutions, and you are blessed with the most obstinate and difficult politicians who enact the gun laws that make our work in securing the Second Amendment in a way so much easier, because it's so great to hold it up as an example of what should not be done. In any event, thank you so much. And I just want to take a brief second to acknowledge some of the folks who are here. We can't do anything as lawyers without clients, and we're blessed to have with us here Otis McDonald joining us here at the table. And Otis, and a lot of what keeps our clients going, as is true for all of you, is their families. And so we're also happy to have here with us so many members of Otis's family. And in particular, I want to note Otis's wife Laura, who's joining him here, and also and the gentleman here snapping the photos, Fred Jones, Otis's nephew. Stand up and say hello. Fred's been instrumental in helping Otis. And then, of course, over here, Rhonda Ezell. Rhonda is truly a hero and has done so much to fight for our rights, even as she battles some health problems. And I just want to make sort of an unusual request. As those of you who follow the cases might know, Rhonda is on a waiting list for a kidney transplant. She has some challenges, and we all pray and hope for her continued recovery and success. More recently, Rhonda suffered a flood, I guess, that took out her car, which she needs to travel to go get dialysis and other treatment. If there's anybody here who is thinking of donating a car that maybe they don't need anymore, or if you have some connection in the local auto business and maybe know of any good opportunities for Rhonda, if you can please contact the foundation or me or Rhonda directly, and she could sure use your help. She's definitely done a lot to help everyone here. So if there's anything that anyone can think of to help her out, we'd sure appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. Anyway, thank you so much for the award, and I'll see you soon.
Oh, Alan here. Yeah. We also got something else as a present, so to speak, and I'm very proud to announce this. It's really great to be in Chicago to have this happen, but I guess it was the day before yesterday, if I have my days correct, that Judge Schrader, who had our McDonald case to start with before it went up the chain to the appeals court, he ruled against us, of course, went to the appeals court, then up to the Supreme Court, signed a court order granting the Second Amendment Foundation against the city of Chicago, so to speak, an award of $399,950 to pay for our legal fees. And they're still going to be on the hook for Ezell. The next award I'd like to give out is to somebody who unfortunately couldn't be here because of congressional business. But it goes to the Gun Rights Legislator of the Year. And this year, this was an easy award to give out rather than being a difficult award to give out. And it's being given to Congressman Darrell Issa, who obviously, as you all know, has been chairing the hearings against Fast and Furious and the ATF and the Justice Department and every other agency that's sort of now been involved in this. And so we will be presenting this to him in his Washington, D.C. office on behalf of all of you. Thank you. On that one. The next award we're giving out is one of the Bill of Rights Award from the Second Amendment Foundation for somebody who's, from the foundation point of view, usually in the legal arena, who's done an awful lot of work in defending our gun rights. And the name not as well known as Alan Gore, but somebody who's obviously helped Alan out an awful lot in his cases. One of your own, I guess, an Illinois attorney, David Siegel. David, we'd like to present you with the Bill of Rights Award.
Wow, thank you. It's been by far the most rewarding experience in my legal career to work with Second Amendment Foundation and Alan and David Jensen over there. We're going to be talking about the Moore versus Madigan case, and we'll hear more about it soon. We're going to be starting some work down in Nebraska and expand some rights over there. And I'm a little verklempt. Thank you. This is really great. Thank you.
Well, David, you better get that voice back in time for court next week. We have an important case coming up that we can't talk about by name yet, but you'll all be reading about in the newspapers next week. The next award I'd like to give out is going out to our Global Leadership Award, which actually didn't get started until a few years ago when obviously the gun rights issue became a whole lot more global. And this one is being presented to the Defense Small Arms Advisory Committee for all their work internationally, and particularly at the United Nations. And I'd like to give this award to our president of Armalite. Come on up here. Yeah. I'm presenting to Mark Western, but it's really for everybody involved with the association.
Well, I thank you very much for the recognition. You've already, I think, heard Major General Youngman speak. I'm a little bit late today, so I've missed out on that. The important issue is that we have threats here in the United States, and of course, the greatest danger to our liberties are within our own borders. Those are the people who can affect us the most. But there's great confusion about what's going on the international scene. Great hue and cry about the Arms Trade Treaty, but that's not the only issue going on. And the Defense Small Arms Advisory Council has been working on this for about 4 or 5 years. We've made good inroads, and we've got greater presence from other American and international organizations. You'll be hearing more about what really is going on and the need to keep an eye out internationally. It's kind of irritating. But thank you for the plaque. We'll put it in our world headquarters, which I think is in General Youngman's den. You know, it's nice for people to go into court and protect our rights and make the historic inroads that we've seen in the last few years. Obviously, we at DSAC have been following the suits in Washington and Chicago. And it's rewarding enough sometimes to draw a paycheck, but every once in a while you want to go out and enjoy the fruits of your efforts. So first, if I could have Alan Gura come up, we have a little something for him.
Oh my! Hi.
In the spirit of irritating individuals in Chicago and Washington government who don't think that a service rifle can be extremely accurate, I'm presenting a National Match Armalite to Mr. Gura.
Thank you so much. Wow. Thanks so much. And thanks. This is great. I'm told the bullets come out the pointy end, right? I'm wondering what our opponents get for prizes. Nothing nearly this nice, right? So thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. And this is nice. So thanks. Thank you. Thanks.
You can look at it a little bit and then
Yeah, I don't know how I get this through here.
Let's carry on.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much. This is great. I'm going to put this away.
Alan was very happy to have that. He goes, how am I going to get this through O'Hare? And I said, don't worry about O'Hare. It's illegal where you're standing holding it. Of course, it's in the manufacturer's possession, so it's okay because the manufacturer is licensed, but he can't take it home with him.
In the further spirit of irritation, I'd like to present an Armalite AR-24 9mm pistol to David Chagall.
Thanks very much. Thanks again. It's great.
You can touch it.
I am. Point it down, and thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Sort of nice when they give you an award and you can't take it with you. Pretty soon they'll ban plaques, too. This one is a real honor and a privilege for me to give out because this is somebody that was around at the inception of the Citizens Committee with the Right to Keep Our Arms, the Second Amendment Foundation, and is integrally involved in our growth and the work we've done for the past 40 years. This is a Lifetime Achievement Award that we're giving to one of our directors who's also been a key lobbying staff person for us, sort of known as the Dean of the Gun Lobby in Washington, D.C., who's going to be retiring at the end of the year. John Snyder, come on up here.
Well, thank you very, very much. It's great to be appreciated like this. And you know, it was 45 years ago this month, that is in September of 1966, that I started as a Boy Friday in the Office of Publications of the National Rifle Association. Then went on, as Alan mentioned, into the helping to found the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms and the Second Amendment Foundation, working many, many years for that. And it's a really great pleasure to receive this award. But I hope to look forward to the development of something else that I've started now, called the website called gunrightspolicies.org. And hopefully this will be successful, and God willing, we'll be able to make that 45 at some point, and even 50. So thank you very much.
I'm going to tell a story out of school now. When we first started the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, obviously we didn't have a whole lot of money. We were pretty much like a lot of the local state grassroots groups. You know, you're living from, day to day to see if you can pay the rent and the utilities. And we needed somebody in Washington, D.C. to really do a lot of work for us, particularly in the area of, writing, lobbying, things that were going on, our newsletter, somebody who's knowledgeable what was going on. And at the time when John's talking about starting as a Boy Friday and working his way up to being an associate editor, I think, of the American Rifleman, he was on the American Rifleman staff as that associate editor, being paid for by the NRA. And our key DC name person and editor of our newsletter was known as J. Nicholas Cannon, which is John Snyder's pen name. So technically, we basically piggybacked on somebody at the NRA to do our work for us at a time when the NRA was not a registered lobbying group. And the extent of the NRA's lobbying really was John Snyder would write an article in the American Rifleman urging people to write Congress. And they'd write Congress, and Congress couldn't believe all the, letters that came in and the clout that had. And the idea of the grassroots lobbying and doing all the direct mail and everything that went on subsequently in the years after was really sort of started by the Citizens Committee, and John Snyder was sort of doing it at the NRA under a pen name for us. And that all came about to some extent because a gentleman, but some of you older people here in the room may remember, by the name of William Loeb, who was the editor of the Manchester Union Leader, the guy who made Ed Muskie cry in the steps of the newspaper and cost him a presidential race. Bill Loeb was on the board of directors of the NRA in charge of public relations and couldn't get the NRA at that time to really be a grassroots lobbying group. And so he conspired with us to start the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, and I think was instrumental in helping getting John Snyder on board to sort of be on the NRA's payroll but get done the job that needed to be done. And that's sort of how the Citizens Committee started. Thank you, John. The next award is actually a set of awards, and we do it as a set and call everybody up and try to find the right awards for the right people. But they're known as our Defender of Liberty Awards from the Second Amendment Foundation. And we're giving these out to plaintiffs in our lawsuits that happen to be present here, hopefully today in the room. So I'd like to call up, if I could. Let me start with calling one up first, because I have a separate award to give that person that we gave to him last year, but he wasn't present to accept it at our Gun Rights Policy Conference in San Francisco, and that's Otis McDonald. So Otis, would you just come up first? This was awarded to Otis last year in his absence, and we mailed it to him, and we made him bring it back today so he could present it to him before his hometown crowd. And this was a Lifetime Achievement Award from last year, the one that John Snyder just got this year. Otis McDonald got this last year for all his work defending gun rights. And I just want to tell one little small story because it made me cry, and I hope I don't cry again when I say it. But Otis had told us the story about how he got to Chicago, and then he was a teenager, and then his mother, with a few dollars that she had left, gave him the money and put him on, I don't remember if it was a bus or a train, to Chicago and said, go to Chicago where you have a chance to make something of yourself and do your mama proud. He told me that story, and then after we won the McDonald decision, we're walking down the stairs from the Supreme Court, and Otis turned to me and goes, we did it. I made my mama proud.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan, and your family, and Alan Gurr, David Siegel, and the three other co-plaintiffs of this case, and all the hundreds, at least thousands of other people that was that you don't see, maybe not even heard of, that were there in some way to get this venture to where it went to. We started from, like I thought, zero, and we were blessed by the Lord to do victory in a very short time. I thought it was, at least it felt like it to me. But yes, I'm a son of a sharecropper, and my mother would be proud of me today. There are a lot of people that I need to thank, but they know who they are. Belinda Rowe and Mike Rowe, J.D. Williamson, they pointed me in a direction when I was very in need of help. Didn't know where to go to turn to for this help. But they gave me a direction and started me on this journey. I want to thank them. I want to thank you all, and I want to thank the Lord for blessing me to come together with Alan Gurr, Alan Gottlieb, and their families. And God bless them, and God bless the country.
Otis is staying here because he's one of those also who's going to get the Defender of Liberty Award, along with the rest of these people. I'd like to come up here and stand with me for a second. Rondi Zell, Michael Moore, Colleen and David Lawson. Would you please come up here? And John Mayer, too, please. And do I have John? These are plaintiffs in our key cases here in Illinois that we've won and are going to continue to win on. Okay, one time out for a break, and this is, I guess, a 30-second commercial.
I would like to tell all of you that my wife of 55 years, she's behind every man, there's a woman, and I am a man. And that's that woman.
And I just now want to play a song for all of us and do a group photo.
Na 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 like to say that for many of us, as Otis said, there was a time when we had no place to turn, and we learned from the people that we met. There were teachable moments, as Congressman Walsh said. You know, the other side always says, well, what's the answer to this question? The gun. What's the answer to this question? The gun. Well, they use teachable moments in a very bad way. But there are teachable moments here. When we were involved in the lawsuit against the city, we had these two really cool lawyers who basically told us, shh, let the Supreme Court, judge the case on the basis of its merits and not on what you do. So I read the briefs. And David Koppel wrote a great brief for Aelita, where he told a story about a Florida police chief, which inspired me to become a firearm instructor to teach the women. And so now I'm the newest Mossad Ayub Group instructor. Thank you. All right, really fast. And what inspired me was teachable moments. Among the women that came to me and inspired me to do that was a little old lady from the South Side and came to me and she said, I have been mugged on the street. I have been robbed in my house at gunpoint. And I am tired of these effing a-holes doing whatever they want. But I am scared to have a gun. And so I took it as a teachable moment, and I said, fine, remember the imming part you said, and always point your muzzle away from anything you don't want to shoot. Remember the effing part, and keep your finger off the trigger. Remember the A part, and always assume that all guns are loaded. And remember the H part, and move your leg in when you pull your gun out the holster, and then your aim will be true, and your confidence will be great, and you will never forget why you're carrying that gun. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Turn it back over to you to end it. Yeah. Thank you all. I'm going to turn it back to Tom to wrap it up. We're running a little over schedule, and I apologize for that.
Thank you, Alan. We have a round of applause for everybody who got awards here. It was an amazing lineup. Amazing. And we're not done yet. There's an awful lot to come today and tomorrow. And I just want to put this bee in your bonnet as a takeaway. I know you're thinking about a lot of things. What can I do? I can get involved. I do more on the state level. What I can do. Two things I would ask you to consider doing. This battle is fought on a lot of different fronts. Some are global, literally. Some are local. Some are individual. And there's an awful lot to be done on an individual level. Two things. One, go shooting and take somebody with you. Invite your neighbor, your friend, your doctor, your dentist, your lawyer, your butcher, somebody you know. A recent survey said that half the women responded that if they were only asked, they would go shooting. You just got to ask. The other is, building on that, consider becoming a firearms instructor, especially if you're a woman. We need a lot more women firearms instructors, but we need more firearms instructors. So that's something that every single person can do. Take somebody shooting and consider becoming a firearms instructor. All right, we're going to continue with more GRPC in just a few minutes here. Julianne, did you have any announcements?